Good morning, Kathy. How are you doing?
I'm good, Lena. How are you?
I'm excited that I got to catch you between running across the country, and just running in general, running your business and everything else. It's so good to just get a moment. I appreciate you just taking like this few minutes this morning just to get a time to talk to you. So,
Oh, well, I certainly appreciate always connecting with you and just chatting with you in general. Yeah, like I said earlier, my run took me about, running in a new place. I had no idea where I was going. Then all of a sudden, I'm like, uh-oh, this might take me a little longer than I thought.
well, we could have caught you while you're running too. That would have
Oh,
worked
no,
fine.
that would have not been, yeah, that would have not been good. Although you might have seen an alligator too. That would have been interesting.
Oh gosh, yeah, yeah. Let's see, you're in where are you at? New Orleans right now?
Mm-hmm.
How fun, how
Yeah,
fun. Yeah, watch out for those alligators.
yeah.
Don't want to run into those.
Yeah, they have these things called Nutri-Rats or something like that. They're like the size of otters. They're like super scary. Anyway,
Yeah, kind of.
lots of wildlife here.
Yeah, they're kind of gross too.
They are kind of gross.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw my very first one today, and I hope I don't ever see another one. Ran right
Well,
out in front of me. I was like, "What the heck was that?"
that's fantastic. Yeah, for sure. Hey, I wanted to tell everybody about you. Just I got a little bit wanted to talk about how I know you, and some information around you. And just so give me a second. I have to brag on you. I'm so proud of knowing you. And so, if y'all don't know Kathy, she's a lifelong learner who is passionate about helping people find their pathway to success. And this just means a lot of things with her passions. But specifically, she's a multi focused entrepreneur, and she's a business consultant for 14 years, degrees in business and mass communications, which we'll come back to, as a first time college graduate in your family. Huge, huge success. She focused mainly on business development and strategic planning until there was a crossroad, and that was cancer, losing your mom, and going through a divorce all at the same time. And then that shifted your focus towards helping people rediscover their passions, silence their inner critics, live life boldly and unapologetically, however that looks, both personally and professionally. And then on top of that, you own a company that connects community colleges with the technologies they need to help their students succeed. And then after it was 11 years that it took you to become a first generation college graduate as well. And this is that what inspired you to start that company?
Yes. So, I had been part of the main organization. It's called HERDI, Higher Education Research and Development Institute. I was just a volunteer, just kind of helping out, during the conferences and then helping out with the logistics and so forth. And, essentially what we do is we put together focus panels of community college leaders from all across the country for these companies that have that product or service for the community college market. And as I was, sitting in on these focus panels and I was learning about these technologies, it brought me back to my 11 years of college where, when I started college, I was at that time a non-traditional student. So I was working, during the day and then going to school at night, and there wasn't any advisors available. And being a first generation college student, it was, I didn't have anyone to tell me where to go, what to do, and how to create that plan for myself. So, I moved out of the house when I was 18. So, I was just really just trying to figure out my own path to success along the way. And it just took me 11 years. But I kept thinking as I was listening to these technologies, there's so many new technologies out there that if I had had when I was going to school, it would have made a huge difference. It probably would have shaved 5 years off of my college career easy, just from all the classes I didn't need to take. And the way that I learn is very different than some, because you and I had this conversation. I think that there's some maybe ADD in me, that not trying to minimize that, but I definitely think I learn differently than most. So some of these technologies are really transforming. So I started the HERDI Innovate as a way to provide students with the opportunity to succeed with this newest technology.
That's fantastic. How do you bring them together? How do you bring those college representatives? What level are they? And then what kind of companies? How do you find those type of companies?
Well, I've never been a big proponent of cold calling at all. It's all about building relationships. However, how I actually built it was through cold calling. HERDI itself as an organization had already a name in the community college market, but the leaders that I speak to that are on what I call my board of advisors, I have about 56 of them, are community college vice presidents. And so it's about connecting and sharing your story. So I would reach out to them and share with them, what we were about and what the mission is. And then they were at least open to a conversation. So that's what I use to start the conversation. But in the conversation, when I share my story and why I do what I do, they're all on board because I think they all have a similar story within themselves that they could relate to. And then they feel like they're part of the success as well. So that truly is how I've been able to build it so quickly. And the same with the companies, because again, people go into the community college space as a leader in the community college space, again, because they have a similar story. But the companies creating the technologies
Mhm.
create it because they themselves have found a need that they were struggling with. Right. So then they create the product around that need. So then again, I shared my story and they're like, that's exactly why we do it. We want to be part of the organization. And so it's all about, this is for anyone that's listening. Sharing your story is absolutely key to building that relationship.
That is fantastic. That's fantastic. Now, there's HERDI is a like an organization, and then there's different divisions. And so
Correct.
yours is specifically about the businesses that are innovating technology to
Correct.
help those students, I guess, better navigate one way or the other through their learning challenges or capabilities or just access
Yes.
in that space.
Equity, all of that. There's technologies that can identify where there's equity issues and access
Mhm.
issues.
Wow.
So there's technology that helps them get them enrolled in the process and provides them the access that they need. Then there's technology that helps them identify their plan and puts them in the right path. And
Mhm.
then there's ones that help them complete, because so often you start and then it's very difficult to complete, right? So there's technologies that take them all the way from enrolling to completion.
Wow. And so those companies benefit by being able to talk to them and then get ideas back that are actually going to make this technology more beneficial to the students. Is that right?
Yes. And I think part of it too, with any company, I think a lot of us, I think we're quick to make assumptions based on our own stories of what people actually need. But in
Mm,
the community college space, every student is very, very different, right? We all come from our own perspectives and our own um, biases, if you will. And so being able to talk to leaders from all across the country in different areas of the country, they start to understand, one, the impact that their product can have, but they also are able to redevelop based on the needs of the community college and the market.
wow. That is fantastic. That's fantastic. What a unique, interesting, massive help for students.
Yeah. I mean, if
Yeah.
you had asked me 10 years ago if this is, the path I thought I'd be on, I'd say absolutely not. But it's definitely sparked something within me that I just am super excited about. And it's growing like crazy. And I anticipate it to double this year and then double the next year and just keep going. So I'm really excited about it.
That is wonderful. Congratulations on your success, by the way. I think that's
Mhm.
just amazing, and your story. So I'm gonna have to like roll back a little bit and just talk to you because Um, we'll just share. We're sister calendar 2021. Uh, um, I forgot our word, Kathy. Ambassadors.
Ambassadors, yes, yes. We're no longer
Whatever.
models. We're ambassadors.
No, we're not calendar girls, but we won't tell anybody.
Right.
But our calendar was interesting, and there's a lot of stories there. Our backstory is becoming strong and I believe lifelong friends through talking about some pretty significant challenges that aren't always out there. And I think this is kind of giving you the strength, everything you went through to actually be able to have those skills to build this business, have a drive, be ready to help people in so many ways. But that crossroads, which is I think a light word to use, um, significant breast cancer diagnosis, your mother passes, spouse divorce, all of this kind of raining down on you. And I want to know, like, that pivot, that what where where did it stop raining, and when did the sunshine come back out, and how did that happen?
Oh gosh, that's an interesting question. Um, I can't really say that there was like a pivotal moment that the sun started. It's not like I walked through a gate and everything just, magically had changed. I think it all starts with your mindset, and I do tell the story. I think the pivotal moment where I decided to really focus on myself and make the changes. I was at a moment where I was desperate, mentally. I It was just, I was in a very dark place, and I had contemplated taking my life, and I had the pills in my hand, and I remember, sitting on the edge of the bed taking them, but fully knowing now, at the time, I actually did not really want to, die, but I just wanted the pain to end. I thought I was, taking enough to, go to sleep and never wake up, but obviously I wasn't. But, at that time, I really felt like that was my only option because I just couldn't, there was just so much coming down on me that I couldn't handle it. But, I'm a very faith-based person, so when I woke up the next day, I still had some pills in my hand, and I realized what I had done. And, and I actually, the next day I was actually pretty pissed that I woke up, to be honest with you. And then I struggled for a few days after that. Um, but I think just realizing the impact I would have on the others in my life as well, had that choice or had that happened any differently, had I not waken up, I would be putting someone else in just as much pain as I was going through, and so, I think at that point is when I decided that I needed to do something because, as at the time as a business consultant, business owners were facing all kinds of really difficult choices, right, with their businesses. And I kept thinking to myself, I lead people through these very difficult choices all the time. And I always instinctively did it, and I never really had a process to how I did it. So I just kind of focused on that. Okay, what is it that I'm doing to help these others go through, the challenges that they're going through? And so I really started to think about, what that might look like. And so I really, going back to lifelong learners, I really just started learning everything I could learn about mental health, about change, about, I just did a deep dive in all of that stuff. So it took me several years, because again, when you go through cancer treatments, it's never just because you stop treatment that even that part of it ends, right? It's a good 5 years
Yeah.
of constant testing and diet, and all this stuff, and you're just getting your body back to where it was. So I don't know that it took me years to get back, but I definitely believe that I have a lot more confidence now. I believe that I could achieve anything. If I could get that through that and pull myself out of it, by myself. And look, if I'd known what I know now, I would have sought professional help for sure. But again, I didn't know. So I pulled my own self out of there. And so when I think about that, I'm like, I feel like I could do anything, and I'm not afraid to fail, because I've been at my lowest, my personal low, and I just nothing scares me anymore. I don't know if that answers your question, but and Jason, who made this nice comment, I agree. I think that is something we should talk more about
Yeah.
personally. That's one of my goals in life is the whole mental health aspect.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. It is important that you share I appreciate that you're always open about that and sharing that because it's just one person, if just one person knows, it can be that dark, it can be that hard, but there are alternatives. There is hope. You know, there is. It's not easy. It's not easy, but it definitely there is more than just darkness for sure.
Yeah.
Um, you are an incredible inspiration. It just fits working with these companies and the education and having the heart for the students and the love for them getting through and the innovation to help them. Um, how that has just impacted people, but you also do consulting with women, you do some coaching as well, just all kinds of participation in that. um, Tell me what you want to do in the next year.
Oh my gosh. Well, there's so many goals in the next year. Obviously, continue to build Herdy, but eventually, I want someone to run that for me, because there's a lot of other things that I want to focus on, particularly um, helping those that in going back to that whole mental health piece of it. I have a process I call the reset process,
Mhm.
and it's a 5-step process that I've turned myself through that I want to teach other people as well on how to navigate through what that journey might look like. When you're trying to rediscover, when you think to yourself, "Hey, I don't like the way my life is going right now. I don't really want to live like this anymore." But I also know that there's more potential that hasn't been tapped yet, and I want to be able to discover what that potential is. And but before I can do that, how do I stop all the negative talk that's in my head that's keeping me from my fullest potential? So I, you know, I always I don't want to be the same as a life coach, because I don't consider myself a life coach at all. But I do feel like, just based on my own journey, I think I have some value that I could add to someone that might be on that same journey, that, hey, I've been here. So it's like what do they call a Sherpa that helps you climb Mount Everest. Like, I want to be a Sherpa, right?
Yeah.
I want to be able to help people climb their biggest mountains and get to the top.
I don't think there's a better inspiration or goal other than to help others, and you are the epitome of that.
Oh,
um, I'm so thrilled to have this time with you and just be such an impact. You are such an impact for so many. You have truly impacted my life, and walking through as we've gone through, these years together, and been able to talk about like just some of these challenges, that we identify with and everything. So I just can't thank you enough. I want to know, how do we connect with you, and what's good ways to provide more, like drive people towards you that would be, good connections for you. Could you tell me about that?
well, technology is not really my thing. I am on LinkedIn, Kathy Roman. You can look up HERDI, HERDI, and then you'll find me on LinkedIn. My email address is Kathy, KATHY, at HERDI.org. Um, the best way is to just email me.
Yeah. Okay.
And regardless if it's the higher education piece of it, if something I said resonates with you and you just want to chat, I'm happy to do that. Because going back to what you were saying, Lena, I have to say, the tremendous impact you've had on my life, because even though I was able to pull myself out of all that, there's still that feeling of being alone, in the journey, right? And so when you start to meet other people that have been through that journey, because your journey's been a long road, and as well. And so when we connected and we were able to share our stories and the journeys, it helps to know that you're not alone. And so that's, I just want to be that person that people can just reach out to so they no longer feel alone.
We're gonna.
I know. I'm so sorry for my run.
We're not allowed to do that this morning.
My face started flushing. Oh, that's because I just got done running.
Yeah, that's it. Bring those tears up. I just love you to death. I'll add your email into the chat here in a minute, and so I want to thank you for your time this morning. It's been extremely valuable and precious, and thanks for carving out. And after you run, have a good time in New Orleans. I can't wait to see you again, my sweet friend. I just want you to know I love you dearly, and I'm so proud to know all the things you're doing and the impact you make in this world. So,
thank you. Well, I'll bring you to New Orleans over the summer.
all right. Well, we'll see you again then.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Good seeing you, my friend.
All right. Have a good morning, everybody. We'll see you.
All right. Bye-bye.